Talk about the parallel theory.
Well, I mean, we can. There's and even going back,
Maybe
right?
after this draft.
Yeah, which often we talk about 2022, that World's Finals. It was Barrel, Deft, and Pioshik being down 2-1. Ended up coming back, winning the whole thing. And if that isn't the case here, KT, this is the end of their year. Obviously had a pretty tumultuous year last year, but all things considered, still made a pretty deep run in Worlds. I think put up a good showing against JDG, and that Jin ban should tell us what you'd already know, which is this is going to be another Ziggs B1.
And they do ban the Ziggs, but that does mean the Maokai is open and available. If it is picked up by KT, I expect Ona will probably match with the Lilia. We could even see like Lilia Tristana as a secure for T1.
I actually wouldn't have minded. This is one of the champions where I think KT could have left it open and picked something else. Just given that I think Owner hasn't looked nearly as good as the Maokai as a lot of other players. The Ashe is going to come through here, and Ashe Zyra seems to be the response here. Lilia also would make a ton of sense.
There's a rock, paper, scissors though, right? Ziggs gone, and immediately Ashe is up in priority. The Skarner going to be picked up. We've seen it a lot when, you know, the Sejuani and Maokai unavailable. Not so much against the Maokai though.
Is
see
it
how that goes?
Is it Tristana or Yone? You gotta pick a BDD pick here. Tristana does feel a lot safer, I think, than the Yone does.
But I also think with the Maokai, like, you just get the guaranteed ultimate.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
BDD's Yone has been ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So,
especially with the MF gets picked up. MF versus Ashe, obviously pretty volatile lane there. Both AD carries having a lot of power. MF, a lot of strength in the team fights, particularly with the setup of this Maokai. And Yone versus Ashe, depending on lane partner, can be probably our most oppressive AD carry if she isn't severely outranged, as it's, again, I think the Talia to come through, and Faker, honest Talia compared to the first two games we saw of him was night and day. Even with his only death being autoed and blast-scoped into the enemy team by his own AD carry, I think you can very clearly see looked a lot more comfortable on that than on the other picks.
Yeah, it does mean that they pass over the opportunity to pick up support in this situation. I feel like the Leona would be pretty high value into the MF, being able to shut down that ult. It's a pick we've seen come in as a countless times, so maybe T1 look to pick that up on 4. Blitzcrank going to get denied though, which just indicate maybe they're going to play a ranged support. We saw the Kalista already banned out, potentially indicating that maybe it is going to be the Ashe support, and it's going to be an AD carry alongside that.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, or it's the Renata. Renata is going to get taken away here, the 2v2. Ashe Renata, insanely oppressive.
I think maybe you just take Leona. You've kind of played that gambit, but instead they're going to go for the blind pick for Zeus in this situation with the Jax. Clearly feeling confident. There's a lot of good into even picks like Gnar that we typically see as blind. I think though, you know, we've seen Perfect play a lot of the Cassante. I think there's actually an angle you could just pick it up.
I wouldn't hate AP Gragas. Yeah, actually, because AP Gragas solves your AP issue. You're playing it into multiple stationary carries on the enemy team, but this is putting a lot of confidence in the player that I think has been consistently performing the worst on KT, unfortunately. This is his, I think, highest pressure series yet. Everything rides on this. Has not been able to stand up to Zeus, but this is a strong counter pick with Phase Rush, with the AP that you get. You can go for these short trades into the Jax. Can't really have a lot of answers to that. And the setup when it comes to the team fights for KT, absolutely nuts.
You know, I actually think this would be such a good Braum angle into the Gragas. They changed it about a year ago, where now, before, when you threw the Gragas cask into the wall, it would knock the Braum back. Now the projectile just gets deleted completely. It's really good in that situation. You can also block the MF ult, but Carrier doesn't seem to be going towards it. He's been going all over the place with these picks.
Oh. The
There
Braum!
You found it. Found it in the end. I think the Braum value is massive here. You know, if you can stand in front, you can block the MF ult. You have a lot of auto attackers who can stack the passive with the Ashe and the Jax. It's a good lane here. The Poppy can't really threaten too much. And again, into the Gragas, you know, you can think about how the comp for KT wants to work. You put the Maokai ult down, when it roots someone, you throw the cast to disrupt. It just isn't possible into the Braum.
Well, we're here at the end of the Game 4 draft, and not really sure entirely how to feel about it. I feel like KT roster got the better of them again, but the draft looks very wildly different from what we've seen so far in the games, especially with the bans going on to the Ziggs in particular.
I'm a bit concerned because I feel like KT has a lot of tools to go in to set up, has the wombo combo, but I think T1 actually armed themselves with some decent disengage and peel aspects that can mitigate that pressure, you know. If that wombo combo comes in, the Braum could do things to break it up, the Skarner as well with the Impale, and I think it's very much kite back. Play around the Talia, play around the Ashe, slow kite, and just mitigate the pressure.
Yeah. As mentioned, like particularly when playing into a lot of melee, things like Jax when he can leap strike defensively, like the Impale, very high value. I do like KT having agency though. I think that when they look good is when they are the ones playing forward, when they keep T1 on the back foot, like they did in that earlier game.
Well, looks like we're just about ready to hop on the right for game number 4. Let's do it and see what happens right now between KT and T1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Here we go, game 4 of the final best of 5 of the regional qualifiers. We have 3 teams set up and ready to go to Worlds. We need a 4th from the LCK, and it's going to be one of these two. T1 on match point. They just need to destroy one more Nexus.
And we've seen a lot of level 1 strategies with the swapping and stuff, but with Ashe, Braum, bot lane, Talia as well, this is like some of the most power you can have across a bot side trio level 1. And
even Jax,
yeah.
Counter-Strike level 1, like that.
Skarner, if he like throwing the ball over the slow or even going through the walls, so KT give complete respect, completely give up the blue side. There is vision down now for T1. And you can see it looks like, again, we're seeing a swap come through with Deft, trying to get to the top side without getting spotted.
Yeah, you see they put a question mark ping down in the lane, saying that, hey, there is a chance there's a ward here to spot this. Deft hugs the wall. Anyway, until the last very moment, this will be hidden, and Perfect's going to get a ward down on the red buff of Owner.
DRX ward with the skin.
Yeah.
And now Zeus just going to be zoned off in this situation again. Probably going to be similar to what we saw before with the swap and the TP down. Although the difference is here, we saw Beryl often starting in the bot lane and just soaking XP. He is instead sharing XP mid. And Guma is just playing There's No One right now. I think something to note is that Deft doesn't have, neither bot laner has TP. A lot of the lane matchups, like last game, Sivir vs Ziggs, both of them had TP. Both of them opting for the cleanse here, so don't have as much flexibility in moving around. But Perfect does TP down to pick up this wave. Level 1 though, but does have the cover from Beryl, so won't be any threat.
Interesting that we then have the AD carry without a dash left into the Jax, but because of the early experience advantage, Deft is going to be fine, has a big wave to keep him safe, and most likely is just looking to stack this wave, crash it, then back, and then they should swap back. That's what we've seen mostly. Although, as you pointed out before, Ox, KT definitely have been happy to just stay in these lane swaps for a little bit longer. One of the big things with Gragas is that while I think that the AP build is still really strong, because of how oppressive the tank build has been in the past, they did pretty considerably nerf his sustain, which in this 1v2 scenario can feel somewhat rough. Owner is on his way. Perfect is still quite healthy, has a cookie as well. But if he doesn't get help, I don't know if he's going to be able to survive through this.
Let's see if he's right next to Faker. He cannot TP in here, and there's a lot of damage already in a Perfect as Owner tanks it up. He flashes away. Pyosik makes his way down, but it's a clean dive. Nobody goes down, even though there are some low health bars.
Yeah, beautifully played there by Carrier. Lands the Q and Ignite and just stands at the edge of tower range, tanking it up. So plenty of time for Owner and Guma to do the damage. In the end, Owner just have to flash out from the ramping tower damage, but the setup's perfect. And kind of the expectation. You know, I feel like KT have been doing a lot of these teleport down bot side to soak XP, but the notable thing was teleporting down and joining Beryl. Beryl soaking XP, Beryl there to defend the dive. They don't do that this time, and T1 instantly punish.
Looking at the early jungle here, Owner barely slowed down by setting up that bot side play. Area now showing in mid. Beryl has just been running rampant on the map. went towards top side there as well, as it looks like we are just going to keep this lane swap into place. As you point out, Ox, just a very, very clean dive. Just gets the passive proc, and that's really all Carrier needs to do. Doesn't run the risk of getting taken down. And if any help is there, they can turn that around. Like, the health bars are low. Any little bit of CC could have been a difference maker, but doesn't end up being in time in case of Bioshik.
Especially a Poppy makes it so difficult to pull that off with all the CC available. And there, the fact that they still had Guma Splash, you know, they were never in any danger. Just a good setup there, and only Bit wants some for it now.
Wow, okay, engage Braum. Jumping on in, and Beryl presses W and walks away.
And the hero minion.
He's not even activating Hex Flash.
Yeah. No, I mean, his carry is engaged Bard, or Braum.
Not really good value there.
Well, the engaged Bard has also been a little bit shaky today.
The thing is, even if the minion hadn't been in the way, I don't think that would have secured a kill. But the fact the minion did also block the Q.
It would have been Flash probably, right, from Beryl?
I don't even think so. I think the W was enough to block, like, follow-up.
Yeah.
I don't even think they'd be able to stack it up. Like, I don't think Zayas could instantly stack it up, so...
Well,
Flash down.
Bard can, you know, hop to his allies, so, you know, he's got some mobility.
We'll see if he pays for that.
Doesn't need Flash.
We'll see if he pays for that later. Because now, obviously, Owner and Carrier without flashes, so maybe KT find an angle to punish. And Faker, with a bit of help from Carrier, doing pretty well in this lane matchup. The Talia definitely faring a little bit better than some of the other picks he's had into it.
What is big though is BDE still has his TP available, so will now just be able to make his way back as... Ooh, perfect, taking a lot of damage here, really struggling. That TP to mid lane, also got a signal. And he is close to level 6, but doesn't have it just yet.
Yeah, and Guma has ult, they can dive this.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect with Flash. He's just going to body slam away, and... Yeah, I mean, he doesn't go down, but it's still giving free time and money over to the side of Guma, who's just taking down plates alongside of Carrier. And KT at least are getting some of these grubs here, so that will be their trade.
It feels like, you know, we've seen these long swaps from KT and no team's really made them pay for it, but finally T1 are like, fine, you want to stay top lane, you can have the grubs, we're just going to take plates. And it's so hard to trade in return with the fortification.
And dragons again.
Well, Dragon again.
Yeah, I really got to question this by KT, because also, again, I feel like when you pick something like MF, even into a fairly oppressive bot side, if you are that scared to take the 2v2, you probably should pick something else. Because Perfect wants to be in the 1v1 against Jax. Like, this is a great counter matchup where you basically, from start to finish, with that with the AP build, are able to do really well into this Jax. And that matchup gets denied, and instead you have Gragas just alone in a 1v2.
Yeah, and the thing is, the bot matchup's not even that bad. You could be excused for doing like a short swap like we've seen, just to, you know, that'd be fine. But swap back after some point. They opt not to, and will leave them in a little bit of a deficit as a result. And now, Perfect, you know, this lane that's supposed to be favorable, Zayas is ahead in XP and ahead in farm, but still not really able to do much into the Gragas.
I love body slam when Jax counter-striking, man. It's so satisfying.
It's just the way it goes.
But he's still behind. We do have BDE roaming over with the ultimate. Bioshik sitting here as well.
Yeah, it's Guma and Carrier. Guma does have an arrow, and the door will be held. The cleanse comes through, but Guma's in a lot of trouble. Beryl getting under that tower, though. Takes a ton of damage. Does not matter. They bring everybody in here. But now the follow-up from T1. They get the kill onto the tree. And now they're going to get the flash at a Beryl as well. So at the end of the day, a lot of rotations over. T1 do trade back.
Is that worth? I'm not so sure. Definitely a rough trade when it comes to the summoners here for KT. They get a kill onto the MF.
Summoners are there to be banned. As we learned from Carrier.
X-Flash.
Yeah, Beryl enabled Hex Flash. Yeah, I think in terms of the summoners, not a good trade, but they do deny Guma a fair bit of farm. But overall, scrappy, I think, is the takeaway.
It could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, this is a good play, though, from Guma and Carrier. Guma blocks the Maokai ult and cleanses it, and then Carrier blocks the MF ult. Still, though, BDD is really the sort of linchpin in this one, where when he comes in, Guma knows there's no way he's getting out. Carrier tries to pressure deft, Maokai does go down. So it is a 1-for-1 and then a trade down for summoners of KT, but if you look at the gap that sort of opened up a bit in the bot lane, that was the value they're hoping to get. So I think both sides kind of examining what the outcome was, and undoubtedly we'll fight again in a couple of minutes to try and see who got the edge.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can expect KT to fight. I think that T1 have not backed down from fights necessarily at all in this series so far, so would expect some more action. BDD gonna come down here and match Faker in the bottom lane, as it was only 2 plates that did go over to Guma. We'll see if KT is also, once again, just gonna give over not only the first Drake, but 2 Drakes over to T1. They have definitely highly prioritized getting as many grubs as possible, but at the expense of giving over the first 2 Drakes to T1 every game.
I will say this game doesn't feel as good because when you see Mountain Hextech as the first 2, there's a pretty good chance you get a weaker soul, and 2 of the strongest aren't on the cards. So T1, maybe you want to reconsider if it's worth committing so heavily towards the Dragon if they can find something else in return. I think that could make sense. But right now, Grubs is up in 30 seconds. Denying the 6 Grubs from KT would be pretty big. Right now, though, KT leaning down towards the bot side, challenging the jungle and forcing Faker away from the tower.
I mean, they'll challenge him, but T1, Keria, and Owner will come in and essentially just shadow that maneuver from KT. They keep Faker safe down in the bottom lane.
Pioshik also showing off the Juhan skin here. Do have the little alpacas being thrown. And when we get to this next fight, the summoners for KT most likely still going to be down. Same for Guma though, and it really changes, I think, whether or not Perfect's there. Because I think Ashe doesn't really get to walk up the way she normally does. Just against the Yone alone, you need to be a little bit careful, but most likely we'll have cleanse available. But if there is a Gragas nearby that can just reposition you and you don't really have any way of dealing with it, unless again, Keria keeps you safe.
Just use the door. It's so weird because I, haven't played a lot of Braum and being against Gragas, so used to the interaction where you'd get knocked back by it. The first time I played Braum into a Gragas game after the change, it just felt so wrong that it literally just vanishes the projectile. It's so weird. I'm sure it'll come up in this game.
It's an absorption shield. That's what it's obviously.
It breaks projectiles.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Saves is trying to clear the wave and not get dove here.
Possible dive. We do have Owner on the opposite end of the map.
Yeah, Keria has always been in the right spot to deal with this, as in the 1v1, Guma says, okay, I'm just going to get a cleanse, gathers it here. So knockup is going to miss, and BD doesn't do much, but the knockaway of Keria is a big one, but the counter-strike catches all 3, and Beryl gets so incredibly low, and now we got a TP coming in. Pioshik has to flash away, and that dive did not work out the way they wanted it to.
They're lucky that Faker's TP got cancelled by Perfect there, because if he makes it over and he ults after them, could have been a whole lot worse. Owner also picks up the crab, and T1 setting himself up for the 2 Drake lead.
Well, fortunately, Deft, his flash is coming up soon, so they can burn more flashes trying to dive bot lane after this, because it feels like that's been the theme this game. Go bot, try and dive, everyone flash, leave. But it does give over the Dragon Crash to T1, and they are hoping it's a good one.
Chemtech? What's it going to be? It's Cloud.
I think the Cloud value is decently high here,
That's good.
I think, especially with like Ashe, Talia, Skarner, the movement speed is solid. Maybe would have preferred an Infernal Soul, but they'll take it. It's not Chemtech. That's the lesson. It's not Chemtech.
Yeah. Not Ocean either. I mean, it's not like you're playing against a huge amount of poke on either side. So, another look at this dive.
So, in theory, it makes sense because you have a Poppy. But in practice, all your damage is going to have to come from the Yone, and this is a Jax. So the Counter-Strike getting an absolutely insane amount of value. Keria also is able to make it back like pretty soon. And again, if that cancel and the TP doesn't come through, I'm pretty sure at least 1, possibly 2 people just end up going down immediately with Faker getting the wall. Sparrow.
They're going to get his flash again. They're just collecting flashes.
Honestly, the flashes per minute from KT this game, off the chain. This is record-breaking stuff.
Might be 1 per minute at this point. I mean, it's really fast.
They are just burning them as much as they can. Any opportunity, but Herald up in 20 seconds, and it's definitely T1 who have control. Beryl losing his flash, trying to contest some vision. No actual, but the threat of the Skarner is still very much there.
Also feels like we haven't actually seen a fight where Deft gets to get a meaningful ult off, which is definitely what you pick this comp for. This is the problem, right? Is that Skarner Braum trying to engage onto that is just it's such a nightmare. So Deus sees an opportunity with Perfect using his Q on the wave. but not really gonna get too much going. Perfect really wants to finish his Roa as soon as possible. Should be able to get it on this back, and both of them have TP available. Might be looking at a Herald fight here. But you see KT, they can't really just walk into the choke point against the amount of CC that's available. So getting control and getting back onto this objective is quite tough. They do have a good amount of mid lane pressure thanks to the EMF.
But I will say, I don't think T1 are too bothered about sort of buying time, because Guma's ult is nearly up and available again. That's such a big tool for them leading a charge in these plays. Death's cleanse is down for like another 20 seconds, but I imagine they'll probably look for someone like Beryl who is flashless, or Yoshik when they try and make the engage.
Just a ton of setup and posturing around the top side of the map, just waiting to see if they get an opportunity at that Rift Herald, but so far, not gonna start it up, so just waiting for that. We have two different kinds of AD carries in mid now, just running waves into each other. It's not Ziggs and Sivir, but they can clear the waves as well, although it is a little bit slower. And not as much action. It really feels like now that we're really on the wire against the wall, both the teams are. You know, KT is definitely throwing themselves in that bot lane very often, but now they've taken a short step back. They're like, wait, maybe we don't have to.
They flashed out instead of flashing in, which is typical.
That was weird.
It goes both ways, because if you're KT, them playing very reserved, I think makes a ton of sense. This is a team that has, I think, throughout this year shown us both the highs and the peaks that you'd expect of both these players and the organization. So might have to hold off.
Very nice angle here from BDD from the pit. Owner in a bit of trouble, taking so much from BDD. You can't block that one, as no Owner gonna have to flash away. And a bunch of damage is being thrown back. They get the cleanse out of death, but really the end result of this is that KT, they don't expend much, and they're gonna get a Rift Herald here.
A BDD sees a Skarner, a champion that thus far has been way too tanky to engage on, that has the Impale and says, "That can't stop me, I'm Yone."
Uh-oh. Faker in a lot of trouble here. He is going to flash, but still gets knocked into the wall. You see Carrion trying desperately to save him. The Poppy doesn't have much damage, but it is enough, especially with pushing around here. And now Carrion is being run. He's not going to get stunned into the wall, but still a nice kill for KT.
So as I was saying, and for T1 on the flip side, they've been in a 2-1 position before against 3 of these players. On the opposite end, Herald.
Oh, what happened there?
Yeah, well, we all know what happened there. That's why Pioshik has that skin. As a bot lane turret is going to get taken with Pioshik charging onward.
And I mean, they're setting up for another one. Carrier's not even that healthy, but yeah, not gonna overstay their welcome. Perfect. Okay, he's making a play in mid, and Guma has flash, but he says, "Well, I'm not gonna get out of here." Nearly kills Deft, but it's still a very nice play out of Perfect, and that's exactly what KT need.
Perfect. Super good engage there, and Guma, honestly, in the follow-up play, actually landing a lot of damage, nearly taking down Deft, but unfortunately just not able to do it. But yeah, a good setup from Perfect, kind of reminiscent. But everyone will remember, oh, more action coming.
Well, this is Beryl kind of alone. Not the first time we've seen this, and Owner just able to maybe get revenge. No, Beryl just flashing and Nimbus cloaking and trying to get out of here, but Carrier says no.
That's the Q-Max Braum, baby. He's got the damage.
The burst too much, and now Deft in a lot of trouble. Zay is going to get slowed up here by the Make It Rain. We do have Pioshik coming on in, but he's really just for Peel. And the arrow. Okay, that's going to hit the Maokai. Does Zeus have enough to chew through the Locket Maokai? The answer is no.
Drake's up, though. Like, T1 is looking at Soul Point, and KT, that topside play was great, but they invested a lot. And not getting enough, I think, to deny this possible Soul Point. Although the TP, or rather the Perfect, has been able to shove in that wave in bot.
You know, Valdez, I think they heard you say this game has been a bit quieter, and they really took that personally, because the last couple of minutes has been...
I appreciate that.
Very explosive.
It's
Both
good.
teams jostling, but a lot of summoners now down as a result of that. A lot of ultimates down as well, and you can see KT trying to set up and maintain control off this Baron area. I think actually KT has all ults, but like the Impale's still down, the Ash Arrow's still down, Zay still doesn't have his ult.
It's a lot of flashes and cleanses, burned and just not available.
This is a good timing, I think, for KT to capitalize before those ults come available. But the window is short, and it is closing as they look to get mid-prio.
Yeah, looks like they're not going to have the angle, although BDD is always seemingly looking for an angle.
Do have Zeus pushing out that bot wave. And it's really hard, again, to engage on these members of T1. Unless you can just knock someone down. Zeus is going to be spotted here. T1, that's the engage ult.
Yeah, the engaged Braum coming on in, and it's Owner who is very tanky that they engage on. The Impale not going to hit anything. The cast is excellent, and down will go Carrier. And Owner is left alone as well. KT Roaster pick up 2, but now T1 trying to get something. BDD will have to flash away.
Oh,
he gets over the wall with the Q3, and now he's totally safe. KT are not done yet.
Oh, the health bars are low.
Oh boy.
BDD is on fire on this pick.
All right, I know that they lost one game with it, but I think we had the right idea when we banned BDD's Yone. Because this man will not be stopped. Ends up making it out alive. And now, Soulborn denied, and crucially, a lot of summoners being used by T1 here.
And the engaged Braum doesn't inspire joy, but mostly Goomer just not in a position to follow up. A breakable comes out to block the MF ult, but the angle means it can't block the Braum, the Gragas ult, which knocks both the Braum and the Skarner into a bad position. And T1 looked for the cleanup on the back end, but a great play from BDD means he doesn't even go down. On the frontline guard, there's not much you can do.
Go slow, he says. I feel like maybe that's just the default thing you say on KT. I live, you know, protect me.
The immediate body blocking as well there from Perfect and Barrow, I think, to be like, he's not getting volleyed. We're keeping this man safe.
If you're on KT right now, you're like, okay, if we keep BDD alive, maybe we just win.
And you know, Perfect, the last time these two teams went head-to-head, he honestly got bullied by Zeus. The Vayne Internected, that game was rough. Game 1 of the series, playing the Cassante, you know, blind picking it and getting punished, but he's really started to show up in this game on this Gragas, making some impactful ultimates and just filling the role for the team. In this one of the Rumble game, definitely a good return to form for him.
And we still see he's behind on gold, but this time it's more so that he's just impactful in the fights, right? Given the pedigree of the two players, it makes sense that Zeus should be having a lot of leeway, a lot of space in this lane to showcase his dominance. But as long as Perfect can hit ultimates like that, break up the fight and allow KT to pick off members one at a time and break up that formation with that Braum and Skarner, makes it so much harder to play. And game 5, not yet here. Mid lane turret still standing. No decisive objective lead has been found either way. KT are sitting on a gold lead right now, though. So we do have Perfect pushing out that bot side. I imagine looking for his next item.
Yeah, the pace has picked up quickly. We're starting to see a lot of second items completed. Death nearly has that Infinity Edge. Got the Cosmic Drive from Perfect for a lot of that ability haste. And the Rowan nearly stacked as well. Lady of the Ruin King, Shield Bow, and BDD. Feels like a lot of spikes are coming through. With Baron on the table, we can see teams starting to set up and maybe look for some picks to set up for it. The damage is there to take down a Baron at the opportunity.
They're trying to get in here, and they're just lining up for the Yone once again. Zeus getting pretty low, but he is Jax, and they're engaging onto Jax Braum. That's not the best. Owner trying to get in with the Impale. The Faker gets cast into the team and left alone, and he should be going down. There he goes. Perfect trying to follow up, but he already did his job.
And the minions, again, favoring KT as he doesn't get the body slam. But now, with Faker not there, does KT want to push it? I don't think they have to. And with Owner still being quite healthy, having Flash, and having the
just being Skarner,
yeah, he is Skarner. Not going to end up going for more. But again, this Yone, so many of the plays, even that one that felt a little bit scary, ends up working out for KT.
BDD just been so good on this pick. Does get stopped by the Ash Shower here, but the setup is there. Getting the Q3 on a 2 into the ult. And so many cooldowns used for the Braum and the Jax immediately to mitigate this. It means they're not in really position to follow up. Faker ends up TPing in a bad spot, and Perfect, that cast was, I guess, perfect.
It was
how
glorious.
I describe it.
It was right after Faker Flash, and it was right before Perfect got impaled. So it was literally perfect timing.
Yeah, this Yone is a problem, guys. I know that Zeus, in theory, should be doing decent, but it makes it just so hard due to the Soul Unbound to actually get the trades that you're looking for.
Well, okay.
You can't hit them all.
Hey!
Good hustle.
Flash,
Good
Flash
hustle.
gone for perfect as well. And Guma didn't have Flash, so if he gets that...
Oh, it was so free.
You miss every shot you don't take.
And you miss some of the ones that you do.
You do. Yeah, well, you know, it's better that he goes for it than that he sits back and does nothing, right? I guess.
He's calibrating.
Yeah, he's getting ready for the next one. And now we got a fight breaking up for some reason, or breaking out, as Owner tries to impale. Isn't going to get anyone. Faker just trying to run into Barrel.
Corner.
And Guma trying to do damage to Deft, as actually Zeus has a very good angle. 3-man stun comes in, and Zeus will get the kill, but down will go Faker. Owner is so low, but T1, they are kiting this one out in a very scrappy fight, as the Ashe and the Jax are going to have big value here. BDD not really finding his angle personally. And T1 kind of settling down here. Barrel.
Secret Agent Barrel.
He can, yeah, I mean.
It's Barrel.
Harry will chase him, that doesn't matter. T1 are going to get the Cloud Drake.
Yep, we'll get them up to that third. And honestly, I think to me, the standout was Zeus, the angle he had on that fight, being able to immediately interrupt Deft. You see, as the fight sort of breaks out, it's very scattered, and KT make the decision to try and pressure towards Faker and Carrier here. Faker going a little bit danger close. With that Weaver's Wall, but the other side of the map, look at Guma aggressing on Deft. Deft pops the ult, immediately Zeus capitalizes, and bear in mind, Pyosik and Perfect, they don't have any cooldowns available to peel. The MF goes down, and then with the Brawl Mash, Perfect can't get away.
And crucially, we see the lack of damage that BDD offers because they were off on the other side of the fight. Did end up getting Faker, but end up paying for it pretty heavily. Now Deft is the one without sums. Guma did use his flash in that one. Right now, that is something that maybe KT can use as they are just starting it up. I know Maokai has great objective control, but that's a little scary. There also isn't anyone in side lane, so it's not like you're going to get a TP.
Yeah, it looks, it's like they're banging their head into a wall, but as you mentioned, their turn is fantastic, right? With the Maokai, the Gragas, the Poppy.
Yeah.
So many different ways to find a target and kill target.
As well, when you have a jungler with Warmogs, they don't really lose anything for starting it up if they can just disengage. Yoshi can heal up the damage with the Warmog, so just clearing the vision, testing T1. Really, and now they're going a little bit more committal onto it. They're dragging Zeus over. We'll see what they make of this play.
BDD shouldn't be tanking it, though. That is one thing. Has taken a little bit of damage. Doesn't care. Finds Owner. Gets on in. The combo's there, but Carrier stands in front, but Owner is dead. Down he will go. Now the front line. A massive cask again. And Zeus is on the backside. He's alone, and he will be taken down. KT. They find the angle once again.
Once again, BDD, the one to set it up, the one to lead the charge, the confidence to go into the Skarner, and now KT going to move back to the Baron. A lot of sustain between these champs, so the low health bar is not too much of a concern. No jungler, but T1 going to try and contest.
Barrel is looking, I think, for a back. Not going to be able to have the time. Does have TP available, but crucially, it's only damage. There's no jungler here, and it looks like T1 not going to be able to make it through. KT, they want to bring this to a game number 5.
We'll get the replay immediately, and again, BDD stacks up the Q3 on Baron, looks for Owner, gets the ult in, Pyoshik's there with the follow-up, and so Carrier, he does his job, he interrupts the MF ball, he blocks it, but he's at an angle where he can't cover the Maokai 2, and then the cast of Perfect to peel the commit on the Zeus. Really well played.
Also means that Guma can't do any damage, right? Faker is on the other end of the fight. The Ashe isn't actually in a position. And right now, KT, Rebel Baron power play, sitting at a 3K gold lead. And it would be so fitting for this telecom war. For the final spot at Worlds between these two teams, so many storylines, both from an organizational perspective, from an ex-teammate perspective, right? Deft and Carrier, way back in 2020, DRX. Barrel, who's been a thorn in Carrier's side for so long, Faker and Deft. Even Faker and BDD. These guys have been fighting, right, for the mid lane in the LCK for so long. And I gotta calm down because otherwise we're not getting a game 5. We all know how this works.
Yeah,
so I will
chill out, Mao.
I will
Yeah,
relax.
come on.
It's a
not
big
get
advantage.
I want to watch game 5.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys take it away. I'll chill for a little bit.
Perfect posing the threat here, trying to get some pressure down and get this mid-tier 1. Obviously, getting the Baron is huge, but looking to capitalize a bit more if possible. But Guma and Carry are able to defend there.
There's no door. I mean, the arrow has to be used, but Guma's super low, so...
That's tower, and
nice.
maybe even could push for a tier 2 here.
Yeah.
Like, Guma has to reset. They don't really have the wave clear. The next wave is coming up soon.
It's a very nice call from Def, just understanding the cooldowns. They do have a cannon here as well, and there's really no way to clear that out. Okay, finally, Owner's going to get a rock in, but there's another one that comes in with another cannon wave. But they're not going to overstay. They're going to wait and get some backs in because there is a Cloud Drake coming up in 45 seconds. See that perfect also does go to top, stop the push of Zeus.
So I think getting the mid-tier 1 is pretty big, but not getting as much as maybe they'd hoped to on the back of the Baron. The gold lead is substantial, but at this point of the game, it's not unbeatable. I think the major thing is looking at sort of item spikes. The major thing for me is that Faker, 2 rods in the inventory, no Rabadons. That feels really bad going into a fight over Dragon. I can actually see a scenario where you just
let it go.
Let it go, yeah.
You don't have Death Cap. You don't need to take this Dragon. Like, yes, you can get sold, but you could also lose the game if you take a fight that you're not ready for. You have 0 map control, still 20 seconds on this Baron, which means that KT still get to use the shove. I think T1 should just let this one go.
Yep, the question is, can they let it go and defend their base? And we'll lose that bot tier 2, so KT kind of reading the map, seeing the fact that Fake is top, know they'll get this Dragon uncontested. They'll take the time to get that tier 2 bot, push out the gold, extend the gold lead a bit more, and then pick up the Dragon. So they will have 2, still behind on T1 with 3, but definitely get a decent amount of value from that Baron. More than just that mid-tier 1 they got initially.
Yeah, it feels, you know, it's not really exactly like Game 2, but they are in a similar spot where they don't get the first 2 Drakes, but now they're beginning to stack up Cloud Drakes, and they're just going to be sprinting around the map and be able to find so many angles to make plays, which their comp does so incredibly well. And T1, you know, from behind, down 5,000 gold, it does feel like KT are in kind of a vice grip on this game number 4. We'll see what the next Baron looks like. That's definitely going to be the big one, especially with no Elder spawning here just yet. As item spikes are finally being hit, even Zeus trying to go for his own Zhonya's.
Yeah, Rabadons comes through, and there is a big gold lead between KT's mid and bot lane and T1's. But at this point, when both of them are on 3 items, BDD and they have to have 3 items to bit, it feels less bad. It's when it's the difference between a completed item and 3 plus components, that's when it feels worse. So T1 definitely in a point where the lead doesn't feel as severe right now. They are trying to set up for something, potentially get some vision on the top side, but KT's still the ones firmly in control.
I've calmed down. I'm
Welcome
ready,
back, Chronicler.
Yeah, I'm ready to continue. Want to highlight as well.
No calming down. Faker, he's caught. He's up against the wall. The knockout comes in, but BDD's out of there very quickly. It will take a while to go down, and finally they do get him as the flash underneath the turret. Pyosik going deep, as now Honor trying desperately to get that finish off, but he will not be able to. It's a kill on a Faker for 44 seconds, but he will have TP, and Baron will not be up just yet.
That's the big thing. Pyosik does have Warmog, so if the objective was there, could have been a thing. Looked like Faker was going to go down immediately, but actually getting a good amount of value from that Seraph shield. Also, Carrier buying a lot of time. What I want to highlight, though, is that BDD actually going, which I do love given how this game has played out so far, for full damage. We've seen a lot of Yones also go for shield bow and then blade and then just go into Jack Show. More of a utility build with a lot more sticking power. As very fitting that Barrel was the one to just go in straight, but BDD, because he had to cross such a large amount of time, or a distance rather, he's not actually able to get the damage down.
And I'll also say, I don't think that was a particularly hard Poppy Eater flash, but I think holding the flash is the right call, because there's nothing really to pick up from that. So now Faker still has a summoner for the next fight. It's a trade of jungle bot lane summoners, which are definitely less important than the summoners for Faker and Guma. I think if you lose two Faker Guma summoners going into like a Baron or a Dragon fight, it immediately reduces your chances of winning that fight drastically. So, you know, whether it was him not reacting or him choosing to save it, I think it's the best outcome for T1.
Take a look at this fight, and once again, Carrier, this time he's gonna be the target, and down he goes, just like that, right as the Baron spawns. And they say, okay, we'll just kill the support. Carrier, no flash himself, just gets taken out, and not much he can do about that.
decimated. You know, even the Unbreakable not really doing too much there to mitigate the damage, and now you don't have your support, but fortunately they have that ward in the pit, so they have eyes on the help. No flash on Owner, he can get over the wall, but it does make it more difficult, especially with BDD setting up those Q3s.
Barrel and Perfect also should be looking to play.
They don't know. Oh! He's in the pit and it goes to Pyosik anyway. Oh, that was looking so disastrous, but Pyosik quick on to the trigger and he gets that one down. Zeus is in here as well, and well, he's not very long for this one as BDD is also coming on over. Barrel gets over the wall. Zeus gets denied from jumping over the wall, and KT have Baron here in game number 4.
And a memory comes to mind from way back, 2022, the DRX run. I remember, I don't know if it was an interview, if it was the comms, but Barrel talking about if we get to game 5. Back then it was against Liv Sandbox. We're not worried. We got this in the bag. A lot of the players on this team have been known to make some magic happen. And we are about to go to silver scrapes in this telecom war.
Got to maintain the pressure there up against T1, forcing them back. And just the base getting kind of mangled right now. T1 are going to respawn. Not really going to be enough to do anything, though.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, T1 basically just maybe even thinking about game 5 as, yeah, somebody has to go in, I guess. And it's Garia, and he just dies. The amount of turn and damage they have with this comp is just so much.
Super control Baron.
Yeah. Not even close.
Not even close. Just have faith in Pyosik to secure it. And fortunately, the rest of the team were kind of in position to follow up. Zeus on a flank angle also goes down. So the impact pretty huge. T1 looking like they don't have too many chances to get back to the
They got a fight. They're trying to get Pyosik here, but he is just so tanky. He knew they have the damage. The knockup comes in. The cast to save his life. And now we're kiting out KT, though. Owner gets in. Jax gets in. They're looking for death. Gets in a bit of trouble, but the clutch comes in. He's okay. BDD! BDD gets into that back line and decimates the rest of T1. Curiel will be taken down, and we are going to silver scrapes 100%.
T1 trying to deny it with a pick on Pyosik, but BDD does not miss on this Yone. Gets the ult, gets both carries, and we're going to a game 5.
The defending world champions are going to be pushed to the brink. The Nexus surely to fall. No one standing for T1.
And there it is, the Alpaca Treant coming in. And we do have a game number 5 on our hands, as we knew. And the crowd is going wild for KT as they want to see them at Worlds.
And you know, this has been a series where Blue Side has won every single game. But T1, when the pressure is on, they have struggled in these 5-game series. They won Worlds with the 3-0 finals, but often when it's come to the 5 games, we saw MSI against RNG, we saw Worlds against DRX, the pressure has gotten to them.
On the flip side, there were some Game 5s they won last year in the summer finals, and that was against KT. That's what got them to where they ended up, making it despite everything that happened. And how fitting that we do indeed go for maximum hype on a telecom war. The final game that will be played in LoL Park this entire year.
And all I'm going to say is there won't be a Yone in that game.
Oh no!
They are not letting him get that pick again. BDD, you know, we talked a lot about how much he stepped up later in the summer, really been on form, but his Yone in this series has just been unbeatable.
Another silver scrapes to be cast here at LoL Park, and for this summer season, we are not done yet. It's one game to decide who gets that 4th seed to Worlds. We will be right back after the break to bring you game number 5.
있어 이거. 야 얘네 포지션 많이 갈렸어.
잘 봐주라. 천천히 천천히. 천천히 봐. 텔 탔어. 날렸어 날렸어 한 명 날렸어.
애쉬 정화 빠지고 애쉬 노플리즈.
야 텔 봐줘 텔 봐줘. 나 스킬 없어. 내 지금 스킬 없어.
나도 빠졌어.
아 이거 속도 못 쫓아주겠다 사람은.
야 안에 잭스 다 잭스 잡았어.
백 잡았어.
백 잡았고. 아 끝난 거 끝난 거 아 믿어.
가자. 오빠 가야지.
이번에 이기자. 아 이거 야 아래 스커너 있어.
아 그냥 야뭐 무시해. 저 스커너 10마리여도 못 끝.
아니 뭐 찌를까? 스커너 이 없어. 스커너 이 없어.
죽여버려 그냥. 불러대.
야야 일로 와 일로 와.
정갈 부위.
맛있게 드세요.
내꺼 까비. 내꺼.
복각 가자. 노래 틀어.
또 들어 이거를. 맨날 들어 맨날.